All right, here we go again. Buckle up. So, one of the things that is happening is I have not been able to get my Play Store to automatically update my apps, and that's weird. It is so different in my apartment with the Arc in the apartment. If I had had it here, it would have probably been a different energy. Those lions are probably be moved down to the lower opening eventually. It's where they're supposed to go, but I have to paint some crowns for the top part there. It's just still kind of funky over here. I didn't want that to happen. Oh well, things happen. So I got my hearing aid from Amazon because they canceled my appointment yesterday. Thank you, Larry. So it's a good deal. I wish I'd have bought one years ago, and I would have been had an ENT and all that, and been focused on my hearing health, right, my ear health. I just again, I'm being operated away from it, and that's still happening. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, they're gloating, laughing. Thank you, Larry. That's what they do. They make people sick and laugh about it all day. Say that they're saving everyone. Well, our weather went crappy, very crappy. The only thing I don't like with the hearing aid is I can't monitor. I like using monitoring. I wish there was like an option in this app for it. Settings, audio. I don't think it has an option. So the right side of my head and my right ear are still funky. Right? I'm not sure all's going on. I think I just need that right side massaged out more. Again, the time for this was probably 4 or 5 years ago, right? And then everything else would have probably came along with it. But I got my apartment squared away. God bless that guy. Again, Satan was in my head the whole time. Ah, he's lazy. Ah, he's this. I had to heal him a couple of times because he's got some curses on him. Being a flagman for railroad construction, I'm sure he's got a lot of curses on him. He says he's a switchman. He's not a, that's what's his in the railroads, I guess. He did that for 10 years. He's done others. He's plumber too. So he charges $60 an hour for plumbing work. He says he used to think master plumbers were great. Yeah, he's a union guy. He used to think master plumbers were great, but he said after having to correct their work so many times, it's just you got good ones, you got bad ones, right? Right. Oh God, this is not working. Somebody cursed my arc. The painting is not working at all here. I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to blend it in and hopefully it works. Hopefully it's a while. Right. My It appears the hackers are able to close my app. That's what their latest thing is. I'm in the middle of it and it closes the app. So I'm able to drain. And maybe they're looking through the camera hole there and they know when I'm not paying attention. But something's wrong on my right side, still stiff. Again, I'm going through massage. Again, I had worked that all out years ago and then they got involved in the middle of it. Yeah, I'm being beat up metaphysically right now. So, yeah, the LDS people yesterday, it was a really nice Bible study. I'm glad to be in those. But, as far as going to church, the hearing aid makes it easier. But, we'll see. It's touch and go. No, I mean, I'm accepting of it. But again, they try to make the way it all comes out. It's my fault, right? But again, God reminds me that I couldn't do anything different than I'm doing because I have no standing on the planet. I have less standing than like your 15-year-old kid because of what these people are doing. So again, everything I said was going to happen is happening. It's not happening because I said it. I'm not giving people ideas that they couldn't come up with on their own. I mean, I do that in some cases, but not this. I told you, well, if you do this, this is going to happen. If you do that, that's going to happen. And again, you have to be careful because, again, you lost your support. I told you they're not MAGA people. They don't worship Trump. And if you keep throwing Trump at them, the person Trump, it's going to turn them off along with everything else you're doing or some of what you're doing. Right. Well, the whole gold card, the immigration gold card should not have Donald Trump on the front. It should have like the immigration emblem or whatever it is, ICE or whoever is in charge of that, or even some, the United States. I don't even know if it's legal. It kind of is weird because they're paying, what is it, whatever million, and then it's got Trump's face on it or, his body. It just shouldn't have Trump on it. I mean, that's where you're failing, actually. I mean, you're getting off on it and your people are getting off on it, but that's where you're failing. Like I told you before, when you were taking all the factories out of Mexico, I said, we need factories in Mexico. It's part of our plan to fix everything. We also want them to be consumers that buy from the United States. Do you understand that? So the goal is to manufacture in some of these other countries so we create consumers in their country that will consume products from our nation. God bless. I appreciate I have that much of my hearing left, like I say each time, things like that. And I'm glad I have this hearing aid. It's making it easier. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't supposed to happen. I'm completely blinded by these people. Right. And again, they'll try to make me blind, I guess, next. And then tell me it's God. Thank you, Larry. Because they go to church, right? They can tell me it's God, right? System might actually work like that. My neighbor was bugging out, like I was stalking her. The reality is, they walk out of their apartment when I walk past their apartment. That's how it all started. But I just, that's weird. Like for me, I was like, what are they stalking me? I'm like, it's probably just weird. And I just counted it. I could have called on them, right? Hey, they're stalking me. Right. Well, they're not social people. Not at all. Standoffish into themselves. And I think they got mad back last fall when I was cleaning the breezeway of the leaves, and it was nasty. It was just dirty and nasty with allergens. So I was cleaning it, and that's a spiritual thing. It says correct. And I could tell that they're irritated by the fact that the people that are irritated by everything. And they try to make up stories about their victim, right? So I was cleaning it, but you can't. We're going to call the office about him. Thank you, Larry. About him cleaning the breezeway. Right. It looked kind of stupid, right? But I like in true form. I just reach out and say, "Hey, how you doing? Hi, that kind of thing," and just kind of keep it as level as I could. Well, it was nasty. I mean, we experience more leaves. Like even like one over, you go one breezeway over, they don't have any leaves. Like have 3 leaves. And then when the leaves, uh, when it biodegradable, it degrades and compost or whatever. It's nasty. It's just you can see it's a dark stain on the pavement. So I was cleaning that off because you go one breezeway over, it's bright cement. Here it's like dirty cement. It was nasty. So I'm thinking I'm probably almost able to go back to a regular diet now. Hearing aids are cool. I wish I had them. I mean, you actually take a hearing test when you put it on. So you see, if I had a hearing aid, I'd be more focused on my ears and been, more apt to go to a doctor. Maybe even 10. I'd probably go to a doctor 10 times before things happen. Okay. It's kind of weird. No, they were actually. I could think that they were like stalking me or something. Actually, something says they may have been. I don't know. Maybe somebody paid them to stalk me. And try to say I'm stalking them. Right. And that's what she tried to say. "Hey, you're looking at me." I said, I'm on the phone with my brother. My glasses are on my forehead. I'm not looking at really anything. I looked your direction. I didn't tell her, but I thought, you look Chinese. I said, who's that Chinese person? Right. And she just said, "Oh, you're wearing black." I said, "I wear black because I'm fat." Okay, I didn't tell her that. But you look leaner when you wear black. And I was talking to the office lady, and I said that, and she's wearing all black. The other office lady has half black on. Right. But I appreciate it, and I made sure I wore my other colored pants. Right. I just told her, I said, "Look, you want to see what I'm doing? I'm on the phone with my brother, and I do a podcast." I said, "Usually I walk out there, and I didn't tell him I'm on the other side of the building because that guy's an idiot, just like you are." But I didn't say that. Right. And he smokes cigarettes. I don't want to smell his cigarettes, and he doesn't hear my voice. Right. I said, otherwise I'd be out there walking like I usually do. I just, I got stuck in this poor house. Thank you, Larry. Again, it's part of the scam sometimes when they do that. I don't know if it is or not. So I'm in, and they're cursing me like the Dickens because all my Amazon orders are all screwed up. Things are breaking, they're not working. Boy, this weather's nasty. That right sinus is still creating thick mucus. I'm hoping there's no active infection. I can't rinse because it takes down my hearing. Right. So again, I'll put me between a rock and a hard place every time. I've been doing it for decades. They're just weirdos. The last one was a weirdo. So many weirdos in PI and law enforcement, everything else that's a scam. Oh, this is how we do this. But it's bullshit. It's just a psyop to kill the victim. Fatal attractions, black widows, narcissistic alpha males, or closet gay. I believe only one of them tried to make a move on me, and that was back in Naples. Right. Came up to me, "Come on, Larry. Come on." It's one of the things they use. All right, I'm gonna turn this camera off because it's just spinning away here. Yeah, I went to a different app. Right. I actually can kind of enjoy the thunderstorm now. I don't the whole thing with I got to clean up my patio and everything, and now that I got it away from there, I've been trying to do it for a while, but I was sick. You're only supposed to have outdoor furniture on your patio. Actually, so everything else is outdoor stuff, but I just still gotta clean it up. Yeah, I appreciate that that task rabbit thing. I wish I'd have found it months earlier. I probably would have had wouldn't have been outside as much probably. But still, it's hard to go from walking to nothing. Right? I'm trying to lose weight, get my blood pressure down. Again, they're against me getting my blood pressure down and being against me getting my blood pressure down for decades. Right. But I really do appreciate this hearing aid. They were not supposed to be in my life like that. What was supposed to happen is when I got here, I went in for the vertigo. I should have gotten to an ear, nose, and throat. Now, it is, what's that? Advent Health Hospital. But Advent Health urgent care is better at the referral. I did HCA Midwest referral system, and it was screwed up. In the end, it was like, okay, call the doctor whenever you get a chance. They were like supposed to like they tried to call the doctor while I was on the phone, and the doctor wasn't answering. So then they were like, well, just call the doctor when you get a chance. And I'm like, well, I don't know if it could be intuitive. Okay, what's happening is they're cursing people. And again, they have a lot of way. People have more money than they did before, and they're more evil with that money. Again, even in will. So the hospitals have to, and all the medical people have to actually schedule the appointment. You have to make it foolproof. And then again, people stalk me and will that. They say they have the anti-knowledge. My goal and my agency on this planet, to the LDS would call it, I think, if I'm using it right, is to bring the good knowledge on how to counter that. And that's maybe why they were so adamant in destroying me. So hospitals need to do that. We need to get people in for audiology, regular audiology tests. And then on top of that, well, the way it works is it doesn't help the insurance companies not to have you go there. So the ENT, if I was hooked up with an ENT, this would never have been this bad. But I couldn't get there. Actually. Now, the one app said I have moderate hearing loss, but I think it's more closer to severe. But again, my ears could have opened up a little bit better. Right. Well, because I was rinsing so much, it may have been blocked. Right. Thank you, Larry. So I love this hearing aid thing I got on. Makes it feel real again. I mean, I'm just beside myself with how this happened. I mean, I just was so blindsided. So the opening in my ear is wide open. It was like totally closed when it happened. The infection may have been there for like a week or two prior to it. I was trying to figure out if I needed to see an ear, nose, and throat, or at least a family doctor. Thank you. Again, this is what they do to the person, and then their lives degrade, their health degrades. What I'm seeing, and again, I can't be sure until you all find it, and also, and I can verify it. It could just be weird, but there looks like groupings of people on Amazon. So again, you can introduce people, so they share each other's stuff. I mean, people that are PSYOP people, and then they're grouped together, so knowing that I visit one of them, or maybe I visit two or three of them and then group them together. Right. And then introduce something else. Again, they put a spell behind it. So as God sends God's word, and it's supposed to, work where God intends it to work. Again, paraphrasing, I do that a lot. Thank you, Mary. Satan does the same thing, and they do that for Satan. Let me make sure I have it's on, I guess. Trying to warm it up in the front room here a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it should have let me live my life in the church, and my life would have been well. Right? I'm not going after anybody's kids. Stop that bullshit rumor. That's what they use. What they do is they put the information out through informants and other people, just like rumor stuff, and then it eventually trickles back to the government entities. It's a scam that they use. They start a rumor mill about somebody, and again, they're willing it at the same time. So the more people you put into that will, the more likely it's going to happen. So this is how cops are falling, and how people of the church are falling. Yeah, if you didn't kill me, we could have healed it all along because I would have had the information to provide. Or I'm not trying to have sex with anybody, actually. So, no, they were in my apartment. I wasn't confused. They broke in, played the game with it, whatever it is they were doing. So I came off the antibiotic, and I wasn't sure if the doctor wanted me on the antibiotic for my stomach also, just in case it was something like H. pylori or something. Right. But my stomach did improve once I stopped taking the antibiotic. My right side's still crimped up a little bit, and I think it goes, pretty much head to toe a little bit. I just wish I could have got to it 4 years ago. My whole life would have been different if I could have got my tissues released 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Larry. Trying to find. The sound's a little bright. I'm going to have to turn it down. I'm beginning to see again a little bit, and God's returned. It's so weird. So again, I think they, were able to block me from God. Get this blocking me from seeing and that kind of thing. What's going. I mean, it could be a task force in town that's doing it. I mean, I've seen that before. A task force comes in and starts taking people's vision down, and then you end up with a bunch of crime. You end up with cops committing suicide, that kind of thing. So again, if you see sheriff's department people committing suicide in Houston, did you have a law enforcement task force or a private eye task force come in? And are they trying to take those people out because they have maybe information about some sort of level of corruption? They might be on a list to take it out. Thanks for. This thing just hit my microphone. So they come into town, they start psyoping their certain people. Again, they'll tell you they're criminals and that kind of stuff. The list. They're on the list. I mean, some of the crimes, like again, I'm not playing a game with law enforcement. I'm not belittling efforts to actually conduct legitimate law enforcement, especially around crimes against children. As I was a child that had multiple crimes committed against me. I mean, the number is just immense. But again, you look at, we can triage again. There's nothing wrong with putting child sex crimes in perspective of other child sex crimes. Thank you. So what we're seeing in some of these law enforcement and church child sex crimes are pretty massive. I've tried to police the internet on and off through the years, turned in some stuff over the years, and recently I turned in something to FBI. Right. But I didn't click on it. Just again, they could be AI enhancing what do they call it? A thumbnail. So I didn't click on it to see what the video was. Hmm. Thank you, Mary. But I think over the years, some of these officers may have strayed while they were attempting to police the internet. I mean, again, we came up with an officer. I wish I could find it. Or was it a church guy? I can't remember. But the sheer number of child sex crime pornography was insane. And that the last time I saw that number, I think, was that captain that worked on the FBI task force, I think, or some task force. Thank you, Larry. And we're also seeing sex crimes. So again, the reason that people attack is because they have a weapon. So I don't know if you're hearing me or not. This thing is erroring all over the place. But again, I'm getting into child sex crime and triaging, what we're seeing as far as, okay, so you have your basic, actually, let me get to the end so you don't get BS put in your heads. What we're seeing in law enforcement as far as child sex crimes being committed by law enforcement and clergy, we're not seeing below level offender. Again, I know a lot. You have to be careful what you say around like missing exploited children, people, and the porn squad because they don't see it that way, right? They just get so angry at a lot of it, right? And again, it's a very hard, difficult, and uh, not tedious, draining uh, thing to investigate. I mean, it's very difficult. But what we're seeing is, I'm not belittling the one crime. I'm actually saying what we're seeing. I think 75% of the crime involves some serious stuff, including being the origination of the child pornography and um, out and out relationships. I mean, sexual relationships. Now, again, that starts with a will. There's a will, there's a way. So what we're seeing is the effectuation of evil will. Again, that begins with Satan, but there's people on the planet that are part of it. Well, if my hearing was around where it was before this happened, I wouldn't be so concerned. Just because something's mourning the fact that they may have been involved in something that caused this. So things come in wrong. So that's a reason for concern. We're seeing crimes being committed by clergy and people in the church of responsibility, positions of responsibility that are pretty far out when it comes to if you were to triage those type of crimes. So the weird part, the whole thing is when you look at different states and what their sentences are. It's some people that do serious stuff get off the hook, and then somebody doesn't do as serious a crime and they're thrown in prison for like 50 years. Not that long, but it's just it doesn't make any sense, right? That's happening in that way. I'm not feeling well. I'm hoping I don't have an active infection. The doctor told me to get off the antibiotic. I'm kind of hesitant. He said he saw signs left over, lingering signs of the infection. This is so weird how this all changed. Again, having people in your life is very important, and I just, I just couldn't get to it anymore. I tried, but just couldn't get to it. I did a lot to my life over those years. Well, the thing is, online, I've talked about this before. You'll see tons of porn that'll be titled as child porn, and it's really just a distraction. Right? It's not real. Right? There's nothing there to police. But then you'll see some stuff that's labeled as something else, child porn. I even, I turned into the FBI years ago. There was a video that was women engaged in oral sex with men. In the middle of the video was what looked like almost a trans teen having sex with an adult male. Actually, so that's another one you got to look for. So you're going to have to sometimes view the whole video. I used to do more in that area, but I believed I was being set up at a certain point. I was working with some people that wanted me to help out. And I thought, okay, they're setting me up. Look, again, you all weren't supposed to be that deep in my life. And it took me years to figure out how it was all working. They were willing me down. I mean, and then part of that is also psyoping to increase their will in my life. And they'll tell you they're willing me away from crime, but they're not. They're willing me away from life, liberty, and happiness, and wellness, and all that. All right, 911 white just came up. Haven't seen it in a while. And flip real quick to 912, but it's 912. So again, now that my hearing's gone, but even that has a stress trigger. Now, I should have received a blip in the beginning of this whole thing to get a hearing aid right away. That would have reduced the stress. My brother said it takes a little while to get used to. I'm like, nah, not at all. The welcome. There's some things going on last year where I should have sought medical care, couldn't get ENT. But again, they're psychologically altering me to believe everything's my fault. And it messes up that process. Believe me, they cause mental illness. And the last go round, can you hear me? Is this working? Hello, hello, hello. The last go round was a long one. I wasn't able to heal out of it. And again, being isolated does that too. But they're doing it. They'll tell you that, well, we're not blocking him from meeting people, but then they're psychologically operating it. Again, Project Artichoke. Well, we need to look in the lives of the clergy and those law enforcement officers and see if they're being operated to that. It's just like the claims of Deputy Wayne Ritchie about those original LSD tests. They don't care. Once they learn how to do that, they're successful. So, whatever they're using, or might be using, we need to know. Well, if they don't like somebody, they use it against them. I'm hearing, metaphysically, that it may have happened since they were children. Like this is their personality and it's been there since they were children. Satan hired them young. Now they're in law enforcement and things. They psyop me. from places of medicine. I mean, there were doctors involved years back.